This year, we saw a number of national stories taking the spotlight and impacting us here in eastern North Carolina. From the millions of dock workers walking off the job, including several at the North Carolina State Port in Morehead City.
All we want is a contract. All we want, so we can feed our family. So we're not going back to work until we get it.
We work too hard, too long, not be compensated.
To AT&T's nationwide outage affecting customers and pharmacies across our area in February, and CrowdStrike's faulty update in July causing widespread problems with those using Microsoft Windows. And in March, U.S. lawmakers introduced and passed a bill to ban the popular social media app TikTok, challenging the Chinese-owned company to face the ban or sell to a U.S. company, leaving many Eastern Carolina students and small business owners frustrated and concerned about their financial futures.
Hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people are going to be not going to be able to create content and make a living.
A lot of the hard things that they work for, I think a lot of them are going to have to restart and kind of find another place to go. I don't think it's going to be very easy for them.
And a Baltimore bridge serving as a vital highway for thousands of drivers collapsed. It's because a container ship lost power and rammed into one of the supports, destroying the bridge in a matter of seconds.
Be advised, the entire bridge, the entire key bridge in the harbor.
Avoid any areas around the bridge that may be in danger of further collapse.
6 people died in the bridge collapse. In October, the Justice Department reached a $100 million settlement with the 2 companies that owned and operated the container ship. We reached out to the Sydney dive team about the equipment they use for rescues. They're a crew from Beaufort County trained for recovery missions like the one in Baltimore.
You can't see, so they're down there just by feeling, and there's a lot of intense work for them while they're down there. Shorter diving in communications, surface communications with surface video, surface supplied air, and just it's cold weather gear.
The dive team used similar equipment recovering a car in Jacks Creek. They found the remains of 3 men tied to a 40-year-old missing persons case. And in 2022, they helped with the recovery mission of the fatal airplane crash in Down East Carteret County. In 2024, we celebrated accomplishments in healthcare, from the Food and Drug Administration approving the first oral contraceptive for over-the-counter use to ECU Health providing a new treatment for ACL tears.
I think we'd see much faster recovery in strength in those muscles. So I think it's definitely going to be kind of the new wave of the future.
The doctor performing the procedure is one of the first to do it. And while some clinics closed their doors, leaving patients in limbo and searching for new providers, other providers boosted their emergency response times and expanded services. Plus, 3 decades later, victims are still waiting for justice.
Attention, were you exposed to the toxic water at Camp Lejeune?
The CDC released a new study this year about the deadly effects of water contamination on the base from 1975 to 1985. And many veterans who share their stories say they won't stop demanding accountability.
To this day, we have not heard an inkling out of the leadership of the Marine Corps about what happened back when the water was contaminated.
Governor Roy Cooper even toured the base this year, urging people to not lose hope in their pursuit of justice. And the governor made headlines multiple times this year, like in January when he directed all state government agencies to help improve reentry services for criminal offenders by 2030.
From the governor's historic move to an unprecedented election, Governor Cooper's name came up as a possible vice presidential running mate in the 2024 presidential race. He eventually removed himself from the short list. The election dominated national and local headlines. In June, then Republican nominee Donald Trump and President Joe Biden faced off in a presidential debate. Less than a month later, Biden dropped out of the race, endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris to lead the Democratic ticket with around 100 days to create a campaign. Thousands of people rallying for her at Minges Coliseum in Greenville. In September, she met with Trump for their first and only presidential debate together. Then days later, Trump is targeted in a second assassination attempt. In July, shots fired at a campaign event, grazing his ear. Millions of North Carolinians went to the polls with new requirements like having a photo ID to vote. Observers were allowed at polling sites to monitor workers and voters. Our state had a major turnout, breaking early voting records, but in Carteret County, some voters living in the Mill Creek neighborhood had delays because of a road closure, forcing some people to drive more than an hour just to get to their designated polling location. But weeks before North Carolinians made their choices, CNN released a report claiming gubernatorial candidate Mark Robinson made racist and sexually explicit comments on a pornographic website. Robinson, a Republican, denied all claims and sued the cable network. His opponent, Democrat Josh Stein, won the race for governor. When he takes office in January, he will have less power than his predecessor due to Senate Bill 382, a law shifting power away from the governor and other high-ranking Democrats. When new faces arrive at the state capitol, there will be one from Eastern Carolina who will stand out.
It means a lot. You know, my family's been there a long time, and then to be able to continue what my family's been able to do to give back to the community, it means a lot to me, and I'm looking forward to it.
Wyatt Gable, a 22-year-old from Jacksonville, will be the youngest person ever elected to the North Carolina General Assembly. Voters not only voted for new lawmakers, but also for a change in the state constitution. The North Carolina constitutional amendment passed with more than 80% of the total votes. From changes in wording to changes in your communities. In Kinston, city leaders welcomed a social district hoping to boost the economy. People in Martin County connected to the internet faster than ever, all thanks to a grant expanding broadband in the area. And neighbors living in one waterfront community in Carteret County protested the possibility of a new development.
It's just going to radically change what we have gotten used to living at.
My concern is that they're going to change our waterways.
And moving east along the coast, falling prices and more foreign imports have some commercial fishermen in our area struggling to make a living on the water.
I feel like we're fighting for the right to go to work. I just feel like commercial fishermen get singled out an awful lot.
Regulations proposed by the North Carolina Marine Fisheries Commission are concerning for fishermen about their future in the industry. Moving forward, consumers might have to pay the price for a locally caught seafood in Eastern Carolina.
They'll get the Got to Be NC seafood sign.
This year, North Carolina Seafood Festival leaders highlighted the importance of keeping seafood local at this year's event. In June, a record-breaking 302 boats competed in the 66 Big Rock Blue Marlin Tournament. And for the first time in sport fishing tournament history, the top 3 teams each won more than $1.8 million.
2024 was full of iconic sports moments. We had thrilling victories, heartbreaking losses, and headline-making events. And we had our normal crowning of champions, like the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, the first back-to-back winners in 20 years. NC State's men's and women's basketball teams both getting to the Final Four in the same weekend. The Florida Panthers hoisted the Stanley Cup for the first time in franchise history, while the Boston Celtics won their 18th NBA championship. In the Summer Olympics, former Northside of Beaufort County star Bam Adebayo won a second gold medal, leading Team USA to another Olympic title. And breakdancing made its first and possibly its last appearance in the Summer Olympics. It's been a year of new coaches. The Panthers introduced Dave Canales. He's had mixed results, but the Cats and Bryce Young trending upwards. The LA Dodgers celebrated a World Series title, and Greenville native Clayton McCullough was right in the middle of the celebration, and then Clayton was named the Miami Marlins manager for this upcoming season. And UNC let Mac Brown go just so the Tar Heels could hire Bill Belichick. Belichick was a toddler in Chapel Hill when his dad was an assistant coach at UNC in the 1950s.
And back here in Eastern Carolina, the action continued with our Friday Night Blitz. Every Friday we shared some of the best plays on our Friday Night Blitz and some motivational cake.
Doing something for somebody because it makes them feel good.
But one team was unsure if they would have their helmets in time for the 2024 football season. Back in August, a former J.H. Rowe student stole 45 helmets from the team, but they got them back just in time for their first game. They played their season without their #1 supporter, J.H. Rowe superfan Marvin Jarman. He cheered on the Rampants at almost every football, basketball, and baseball game since 1966. He was 77 years old.
We thought he was indestructible. Thought he was going to live forever.
And staying in Pitt County, longtime Aiden Grifton High School announcer shared he needs a kidney donation.
I can sit up here and run my mouth and call names out, and everybody seems to get along with it.
Plus, the Lady Panthers of North Pitt basketball became the last one standing for a state championship title to bring back home. And college football season brought many new things, new faces, new coaches, and new players. East Carolina University announced Blake Harrell as their new head football coach. They fired Mike Houston in October, and the players enjoyed a new experience.
Just to see something that you've been looking at and playing while you were a little kid and come back around, and they finally brought it out. So to be a part of that is it's a real experience.
Now that there's NIL deals in college athletics, the athlete that opts into the game gets their name and face feature and receives $600, and of course, a free copy of the game. And the North Carolina Board of Education agreed to advance a proposal over NIL, or name, image, and likeness rules for high school student athletes. If approved, high school athletes could make a profit by July of next year. And in March, North Carolina legalized sports betting. Beaufort County celebrated boating legend Reggie Fountain with a dedicated day. And Kinston kicked off the Grassroots Festival to raise money to rebuild the Unit, a skate park in the area. Onslow County welcomed NASCAR Hall of Famer Dale Earnhardt Jr. and the FAI Skydiving World Championship dove into Eastern Carolina. The competition happens every 2 years, and this year was supposed to be in Israel, but due to the current conflict, it was moved. And with the help of 3 skydiving companies coming together, they landed in Beaufort. On the diamond, Green Central's remarkable 29-1 season was capped off with a state championship dog pile, their first since 2000 for the Rams. And in New Bern, the Southpaws slid into action for their first season at Kafer Park, featuring ECU player Parker Bird. He's the first Division I baseball player to play in a game with a prosthetic leg. And the city of Greenville extends its contract with the Little League World Series through 2027. And the winning girls team from Pitt County headed to the White House to celebrate their championship. In 2024, we said goodbye to the Down East Wood Ducks and all of the memorabilia, and then said hello to the Bird Dogs. They kick off their first season at Granger Stadium in May of 2025.
As 2024 comes to a close, we're honoring those who serve as the fabric of our community and remembering the inspiring stories that shaped Eastern North Carolina. We got to meet many of you during our food drives and community events. And in 2024, we welcomed many new faces on air this year. Some of you got to share your stories right here in our studio during our noon show. This year, we launched an interview segment to share our platform with you. And one North Carolina mentor racked up 85,000 hours of community service through fitness and boxing. He then received the President's Lifetime Achievement Award. It's a prestigious symbol of recognition to honor his dedication to mentoring youth in our area. And in Carteret County, a fun display turned into a fundraiser.
It's the greatest thing to see.
Businesses from all over the coastal county chimed in to the Morehead City Sign War. The effort raising thousands of dollars and making a difference for students in the area. For one classroom in Craven County, literacy is transformed through creative programs. One unique way teachers made reading rewarding was by replacing candy and soda and vending machines with books. The digital resource called Lexia helps accelerate students' reading and assist teachers. And in Bertie County, an apartment complex 6 years in the making finally opens. The apartments are designed specifically for teachers. School officials opened the 24 apartments to provide affordable housing for teachers in the county. And in Hyde County, school officials explored creative ways to attract teachers by converting an old daycare into housing. Moving to Pitt County, the Board of Education welcomed new leadership in a historic moment. The board appointed the first Black superintendent in the school district's history. Dr. Stephen Lassiter Jr. stepped up to the role after Dr. Ethan Lenker retired. He spent 11 years in the position and also staying in Pitt County.
I think this program produces the highest quality teachers.
Investing in our future teachers. It's the focus of a legacy program now back at ECU amid teacher shortages across Eastern Carolina.
Staying on East Carolina University's campus, this year ECU offered a class for Swifties. School leaders called the class English 1500, Taylor's version. And a Craven County teacher hopes to save one life at a time.
It was super cool. It was a very joyous process for me. I really felt like I was making a really big difference.
She's donating her stem cells to someone who's trying to beat leukemia, plus in Pitt County.
It is with heavy hearts that we say goodbye to the goodest boy, and thank you for your service.
Tears filled the room at a memorial service for Deputy Drifter. He was the first emotional support dog for the Pitt County Sheriff's Office. In October, a veterinarian diagnosed him with lung cancer. Sheriff Paula Dance said his legacy will live on. They honored him with a memorial, and in November, a business owner gifted them with a customized light box. In March, the 29th Commandant of the Marine Corps, General Alfred Gray, died. He was 95 years old and known for many significant contributions. He was the commanding general of the 2nd Marine Division during the 1983 terrorist attack in Beirut. The attack killed more than 200 American soldiers, whom they honor every year.
There's a particular picture of him that has 3 words, and it says Al Gray, Marine. That really says it all. He was the Marines' Marine.
There will be a special tribute of General Gray inside the Carolina Museum of the Marine. It is expected to open in 2026 in Jacksonville. Hunting for history in the dirt in eastern North Carolina, a group of military veterans want to do their part to help those who suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. They're doing that by getting them into metal detecting. Some of their findings have been pretty legendary, like an inaugural button from 1789. There was plenty to celebrate across Eastern Carolina in 2024. From Onslow County highlighting Native American culture and honoring Native and non-Native American veterans, to Greenville commemorating its 250th anniversary, and the New Bern Civic Theater marking 113 years of entertaining Eastern Carolina. And 2 published authors, both under the age of 10, shared with us their stories of success. Plus, one Eastern Carolina man helped deliver more than 60 Starlink internet units for Western Carolina.
I thought I was going to go up there for one day. I've been up there for 3 weeks now, almost a month. And, but there's just still so much. You go up there and it doesn't look like it's changed. Nothing's changed. It's still just devastation. And so I don't know at what point I go, oh, well, you're good, when I know I've got families sleeping under tarps. You know, so it's not so much, why is it important to me? Like, I can't walk away from that. I can't go home and go to bed and sleep in my perfectly fine house knowing there's a family of 6, sleeping in a tarp.
Many of you stepped up to help those impacted by Hurricane Helene.
2024 marks significant weather events, not only for Eastern Carolina, but across the state and even the country. NOAA recorded the hottest day globally on the planet in July. Countless tornado outbreaks occurred, and Hurricane Helene emerged as one of the most destructive storms of the year. Helene made landfall in September in the Big Bend area of Florida. The storm's intense rainfall spread north up the Appalachian Mountains to the western part of our state. North Carolina emergency management officials said the state received more than 30 inches of rain in less than 4 days. Hundreds of people were stranded with no place to go, and thousands of water lines needed to be replaced. And in August, firefighters from the western part of the state came east to help with water rescues in our area.
We're there to help someone that can't help themselves.
Hurricane Debbie made landfall in Florida as a Category 1 storm and flooded parking lots, yards, and even some businesses here in Eastern Carolina. And in New Bern, major progress continued on the Stanley White Recreation Center. August made 6 years since Hurricane Florence flooded out the previous facility. The center is expected to open soon in 2025. Staying in New Bern, a new animal shelter honors the memory of a beloved Storm Track 12 meteorologist. 2024 marked 10 years since we lost Skip Waters. Homeowners insurance comes up every hurricane season. This year, a homeowners insurance rate hike proposal got the attention of people all across the state, especially in coastal communities where premiums could spike. In previous years, there's been a cap on insurance premium. The hearing is expected to wrap up in the new year.
2024 is going to go down as a hard year financially.
And Eastern Carolina farmers shared their struggles to save their crops. The heavy rainfall during July had some farmers begging for the rain to stop. This after a dry start to the summer that put many of their crops at risk. And in August, an EF3 tornado ripped through Wilson County, forcing the community members to pick up the pieces. The tornado destroyed the 6th and 7th grade classrooms at Springfield Middle School. Educators agreed to start the new school year as planned. They used mobile classrooms while the repairs were made, and in Greene County, another tornado touched down, an EF2 tornado that destroyed buildings and devastated farmland, with wind gusts recorded up to 110 miles per hour. In 2024, many of us in Eastern Carolina looked to the skies. In April, we witnessed a total solar eclipse, and while we weren't in the path of totality, many made sure that they were prepared with the proper eyewear. And in May,
the wall of fire.
Celebrating excellence in aviation with the dazzling displays of Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point's Air Show. The show drew a record crowd. An estimated 80,000 guests attended, and with lots of visitors came lots of cars on the road. And this year's show was extra special for another reason.
Clear.
The end of an era for veteran aerobatic pilot Hubie Tolson. But he said he won't get rid of his plane just in case he wants to bore some holes in the sky. And in July, he joined 2 other pilots to pay tribute to Jean Burroughs. She was the widow of Bob Burroughs. He was a flight instructor in our area for more than 50 years. She died in June. And in February, we were able to attend the Eastern Carolina Aviation Heritage Foundation's annual gala in Havelock. It was a packed room full of people there to support all they do for the STEM programs in our community. And in April, astronaut Christina Cook returned to her hometown of Jacksonville.
People say, what is it about your background? What did you bring with you from Eastern North Carolina? And the fact that this place taught me that every single person has a contribution and is 100% part of the team.
She shared her story of always following her passion, even if it takes an unconventional path. She will be the first woman to fly to the moon. You can learn more about her speech and all the stories we've talked about on our website. We've enjoyed looking back at 2024, and from all of us here at News 12, we're wishing you a great 2025.